The wind on Velan never stopped. It carried dust and the smell of copper through every crack in every building. Ji-hoon had learned to ignore it after 3 years on this world. He had also learned to ignore the stares from the dragons who walked past his small workshop every day. Ji-hoon was a human engineer. He was not special. He was not important. He was just a man who fixed things that other people broke. The trading outpost of Velan needed someone like him. The machines here were old. They broke often. Nobody else wanted to stay in a place so far from Earth, so Ji-hoon stayed. His workshop sat at the edge of the market district. It was a small building made of gray metal and red stone. Inside, there were tools on every wall. There were engine parts on the floor. There was a small bed in the corner where Ji-hoon slept. He had no family waiting for him back home. He had no reason to return. This workshop was his home now. Every morning, Ji-hoon woke up before the suns rose. Velan had 2 suns, one orange and one white. They filled the sky with strange light that made everything look like it was on fire. Ji-hoon would drink his coffee, eat something simple, and then start working. Today was like any other day. A merchant had brought him a broken transport unit. The machine was old, probably 40 years or more. Its power core was dying. Its wheels did not turn properly. Ji-hoon looked at it and sighed. This would take many hours to fix. He put on his work jacket. It was brown and worn. There were oil stains on the sleeves and small burns from welding sparks. On the left side of the chest, there was a patch. It showed a gear with wings spreading from both sides. Under the gear, there were small letters that said, Earth Engineering Corps. This patch had belonged to Ji-hoon's father. His father had been a soldier and an engineer during the Great Collapse, 50 years ago. He had traveled to many worlds, fixed many machines, and helped many people. He died when Ji-hoon was still young. The patch was the only thing Ji-hoon had left of him. Ji-hoon touched the patch softly. He did this every morning. It was his small way of remembering. Outside the workshop, dragons walked through the streets. They were tall creatures, most of them 2 or 3 times the height of a human. Their scales came in many colors. Some were red like blood. Some were blue like deep water. Some were gold like the morning sun. They had wings on their backs. But most of them kept their wings folded. Flying in the market was not allowed. The dragons of Velan were proud. They had built this trading world many centuries ago. They welcomed visitors from across the galaxy. But they did not treat everyone the same. Humans were tolerated. That was the word everyone used. Tolerated, not welcomed, not respected, just tolerated. Ji-hoon had accepted this long ago. He did not come here to make friends. He came here to work. He came here to be useful. He came here because Earth had become too crowded and too expensive for a man with no family and no connections. He bent down and opened the transport unit. The inside was full of dust and old grease. Something had been chewing on the wires. Probably a tunnel rat. Those small creatures got into everything on this world. Ji-hoon worked quietly. He did not play music. He did not talk to himself. He just worked. His hands moved with practice. He knew every tool. He knew every wire. He knew every sound a machine could make. Hours passed. The suns moved across the sky. The shadows in the workshop grew longer. Around midday, a group of young dragons walked past his open door. They were talking loudly and laughing. One of them looked inside and saw Ji-hoon. The dragon made a face of disgust and said something in the old dragon language. The others laughed harder. Ji-hoon did not look up. He did not react. He just kept working. This happened often. The young dragons did not understand why a human was here. They did not know what humans could do. They only knew that humans were small and weak and lived short lives. To them, Ji-hoon was nothing more than an insect that could fix machines. The old dragons were different. They did not laugh or make faces. They simply ignored him completely. To them, Ji-hoon did not exist at all. But Ji-hoon did not mind. He had learned that being invisible was sometimes a gift. Nobody bothered him. Nobody asked him difficult questions. Nobody expected anything from him except fixed machines and fair prices. By evening, the transport unit was working again. Its power core hummed with new energy. Its wheels turned smoothly. Ji-hoon stepped back and looked at his work. He felt a small moment of satisfaction. This was why he did what he did. Taking something broken and making it whole again. The merchant came back to collect the transport unit. He was a round man from a world called Hestia. He paid Ji-hoon without complaint and rolled the machine away into the darkening streets. Ji-hoon closed his workshop doors. He ate a simple meal of rice and dried vegetables. He looked at the patch on his jacket again. His father had once told him something. A good engineer leaves the world better than he found it. Even if nobody notices. Even if nobody thanks you. You know. And that is enough. Ah, Ji-hoon believed those words. He lived by them every day. But sometimes, late at night, when the twin suns were gone and the stars filled the sky, Ji-hoon wondered if there was more to his life. He wondered if he would always be alone. He wondered if anyone would remember him after he was gone. He pushed those thoughts away. They did not help him. They only made him sad. Tomorrow would be another day. More machines would break. More merchants would come. More dragons would walk past and pretend he was not there. And Ji-hoon would be here, in his small workshop, doing what he always did. Fixing things. Being useful. Waiting for something that he did not even know he was waiting for. 3 days later, something different happened. Ji-hoon was working on a cooling system for a food storage unit. The owner was a nervous dragon who kept asking if it would be ready soon. Ji-hoon nodded and said nothing. He had learned that dragons did not like long conversations with humans. The nervous dragon finally left, after Ji-hoon promised to finish before the second sunset. Ji-hoon went back to work. The cooling system had a cracked pipe that needed to be replaced. It was not a difficult job, but it required patience. He was so focused on his work that he did not hear the small footsteps behind him. A tiny voice said, "What are you doing?" Ji-hoon jumped and turned around. He saw a small dragon standing in the doorway of his workshop. She was very young, probably the same as a human child of 5 or 6 years. Her scales were the color of copper, bright and shiny in the afternoon light. Her eyes were large and golden, filled with curiosity. Ji-hoon had never seen a dragon child this close before. He did not know what to say. The little dragon walked into his workshop without fear. She looked at the tools on the walls. She looked at the machine parts on the floor. She looked at everything with wide, wondering eyes. "You have many things," she said. Her voice was high and sweet. "What do you do with all these things?" Ji-hoon finally found his words. "I fix machines. Things that are broken. I make them work again." The little dragon tilted her head. "Like a healer? But for machines?" Ji-hoon smiled a little. "Yes, like a healer for machines." The little dragon seemed to like this answer. She walked closer to where Ji-hoon was sitting. She was so small that her head only reached his chest. Dragons grew fast, but the young ones were still tiny compared to adults. "I am Nari," the little dragon said. "What is your name?" "I am Ji-hoon." Nari repeated his name slowly. "Ji-hoon. That is a strange name." "I like it." Ji-hoon did not know how to respond. No dragon had ever said they liked anything about him before. Nari walked around the workshop some more. She touched a wrench carefully, as if it might bite her. She sniffed at a can of oil and made a face. She was like any curious child, dragon or human. Then she stopped. She was looking at Ji-hoon's chest, at the patch on his jacket. "What is that?" she asked, pointing at the winged gear symbol. Ji-hoon looked down at the patch. "It is just a symbol. It belonged to my father." Nari's golden eyes grew even wider. She stepped closer and stared at the patch with an expression Ji-hoon could not understand. It was more than curiosity. It was something like recognition. "The wings and the circle thing," Nari said softly. "I know this." Ji-hoon felt confused. "You know this symbol?" "How?" Nari looked up at him. Her small face was very serious now. "My dad has it too." For a moment, Ji-hoon could not think. He could not speak. He just stared at the little dragon girl in front of him. "Your father has this symbol?" he asked slowly. "This exact symbol?" Are you sure? Nari nodded quickly. Yes, yes. He wears it on a chain around his neck. He never takes it off. He says it is very important. He says it saved our family a long time ago. Ji-hoon's heart began to beat faster. This did not make sense. The Earth Engineering Corps patch was given only to human soldiers. Only to those who served during the Great Collapse. How could a dragon have one? Nari, Ji-hoon said carefully. Where is your father now? The little dragon pointed toward the eastern part of the city. He is at home. In the old district. He does not go out much anymore. His legs hurt from old wounds. Ji-hoon wanted to ask more questions, but before he could, a loud voice called from outside. Nari, Nari, where are you? A female dragon appeared at the doorway. She was young and beautiful, with scales of deep blue. Her eyes were sharp and worried. When she saw Nari standing in the human's workshop, her face changed to something hard and cold. Nari, come here now, the female dragon commanded. Nari looked sad but walked toward the door. Goodbye, Ji-hoon. You are nice. The female dragon grabbed Nari's hand and pulled her away. She did not look at Ji-hoon. She did not say anything to him. She just took the child and left as quickly as she came. Ji-hoon stood alone in his workshop. His mind was spinning with questions. A dragon with the Earth Engineering Corps patch. A patch that saved a family. A patch that a dragon elder wore around his neck and never removed. What did this mean? How was this possible? Ji-hoon thought about his father. About all the stories his father had told him when he was young. Stories about distant worlds. Stories about battles and rescues. Stories about helping people, no matter what they looked like or where they came from. Had his father come to this world? Had his father met these dragons? Had his father done something here that Ji-hoon never knew about? The questions burned in Ji-hoon's mind like fire. He tried to go back to work, but he could not focus. He kept seeing Nari's face. He kept hearing her words. My dad has your symbol too. That night, Ji-hoon could not sleep. He lay on his small bed and stared at the ceiling. The patch sat on the table beside him, removed from his jacket so he could look at it. His father had never told him about dragons. His father had never mentioned Valan. But there were many stories his father never finished. Many missions his father never explained. The war had been chaotic. Things happened that were never written down. Heroes were made in moments that nobody recorded. Ji-hoon made a decision. Tomorrow, he would find Nari again. He would ask her to take him to her father. He would learn the truth about the symbol and what it meant to this dragon family. For the first time in 3 years, Ji-hoon felt something he had not felt in a very long time. Hope. Maybe he was not just a stranger in this outpost. Maybe there was a connection here that he never knew existed. Maybe his father's story and his own story were about to come together in a way he could never have imagined. The night was long, but morning would come soon. And with it, answers. Finding Nari was not easy. Ji-hoon walked through the market district for hours, looking at every small dragon child he could see. None of them had copper scales. None of them had those bright, golden eyes. He asked a few merchants if they knew a dragon family in the old district. Most of them ignored him. One laughed and told him to go back to his machines. Another simply walked away. Ji-hoon did not give up. He kept walking. He kept looking. By late afternoon, when the white sun was starting to set, he finally saw her. Nari was sitting on a low wall near a water fountain. She was throwing small stones into the water and watching them sink. Ji-hoon approached slowly. He did not want to scare her. Hello, Nari, he said softly. The little dragon looked up. Her face broke into a big smile when she saw him. Ji-hoon, the machine healer, you came to find me. Ji-hoon nodded. Yes, I wanted to ask you something. About your father. About the symbol. Nari jumped down from the wall. Her small wings fluttered with excitement. You want to meet my dad? Really? He will be so happy. He never has visitors anymore. Before Ji-hoon could say anything else, Nari grabbed his hand with her small claws and began pulling him toward the eastern streets. Her grip was surprisingly strong for such a tiny creature. They walked for a long time. The streets became narrower. The buildings became older. This was the old district that Nari had mentioned. It was quiet here. Fewer dragons walked these paths. The stones under Ji-hoon's feet were cracked and worn by centuries of use. Finally, they stopped in front of a large door made of dark wood. The door was decorated with carved patterns of flames and clouds. It looked very old and very important. Nari pushed the door open. Dad. Dad, I brought a friend. Ji-hoon hesitated at the entrance. He felt like he was stepping into something much bigger than himself. But he had come this far. He could not turn back now. Inside, the house was simple but clean. There were few decorations. A few old weapons hung on one wall. A fire burned quietly in a stone pit in the center of the main room. And sitting beside the fire, wrapped in a thick blanket, was the oldest dragon Ji-hoon had ever seen. Taeho was massive, even sitting down. His scales were gray and dark green, like old trees in a dying forest. Deep scars covered his face and arms. His left eye was closed, damaged by some ancient wound. His right eye was still sharp, still alive, and it fixed on Ji-hoon the moment he entered. Nari ran to her father and climbed into his lap. This is Ji-hoon, Dad. He fixes machines. And look at his jacket. He has the same symbol as you. Taeho's eye moved to Ji-hoon's chest. To the patch. The winged gear of the Earth Engineering Corps. The old dragon went very still. His breathing became slow and deep. For a long moment, nobody spoke. Then Taeho's voice came out, rough and low like stones grinding together. Come closer, human. Ji-hoon walked toward the fire. His legs felt weak, but he kept walking. Taeho leaned forward. With one large claw, he reached inside his blanket and pulled out a chain that hung around his neck. At the end of the chain was a small metal disc, and on that disc was the exact same symbol. The winged gear. The words, Earth Engineering Corps. Ji-hoon could not breathe. It was true. Everything Nari had said was true. Where did you get that? Ji-hoon asked. His voice was barely a whisper. Taeho looked at the disc in his claw. His scarred face softened with old memories. A human gave it to me. Many, many years ago. During the darkest time my people ever knew. The Great Collapse, Ji-hoon said. Taeho nodded slowly. You know of it. Good. Then you understand how terrible those days were. The ships that fell from the sky, the fires that burned whole worlds, the death that came for everyone, human and dragon alike. Ji-hoon had heard stories, but only pieces. What happened here? On Velan? Taeho was quiet for a moment. Then he began to speak. 50 years ago, Velan was under attack. Not by enemies from outside, by our own machines. Our defense system had failed. It was attacking our cities, killing our people. We did not know how to stop it. Our engineers were dead. Our leaders were hiding. Everyone was waiting to die. The old dragon paused. His eye grew distant, seeing the past. Then a human ship crashed near our capital. A small ship, only one survivor, a human soldier, an engineer. He was injured, burned, but still alive. Ji-hoon's heart was pounding now. He knew. He already knew. What was his name? Ji-hoon asked. Taeho looked at him with something like wonder. He never told us his full name. He only told us to call him Sunho. He said it meant gift from above in his language. Oh, Sunho. That was Ji-hoon's father's name. Tears began to form in Ji-hoon's eyes. He could not stop them. Taeho continued. Sunho was dying. His wounds were too great. But instead of resting, instead of accepting death, he went to our defense center. He worked for 3 days without sleep. He fixed our system. He stopped the machines from killing us. He saved my family. He saved my entire clan. The old dragon held up the metal disc. Before he died, he gave me this. He said it was a symbol of his people. He said that as long as I wore it, his spirit would protect my family. He said that one day, another human would come, and I would know them by this same symbol. Ji-hoon fell to his knees. The tears were flowing freely now. He was my father, Ji-hoon said. Sunho was my father. Taeho's eye widened. Then, slowly, the old dragon began to smile. It was a strange sight on such a scarred face, but it was a real smile, full of warmth, full of recognition. So you are his child, Taeho said softly. His blood has finally returned to us. Taeho 7. Taeho 7. Nari was watching everything with confused but excited eyes. Dad, why is the machine healer crying? Is he sad? Taeho placed his large claw gently on Ji-hoon's shoulder. No, little one. He is not sad. He is home. Ji-hoon stayed in Taeho's house that night. The old dragon would not let him leave. He said that family must eat together, must talk together, must share the same fire. For the first time in many years, Ji-hoon did not feel alone. Nari's mother, Yuna, was the blue-scaled dragon who had taken Nari from the workshop. She was cold to Ji-hoon at first. She did not understand why her father-in-law was treating this human like a guest of honor. But when Taeho explained everything, when he showed her the matching symbols and told her the full story, her coldness melted away. Forgive me, Yuna said quietly. I did not know. There is nothing to forgive, Ji-hoon replied. You were protecting your child. That is what good mothers do. They ate a simple meal of cooked vegetables and grain. Nari talked and talked, asking Ji-hoon questions about his machines and his work. Taeho listened with a peaceful expression. Yuna began to smile. After dinner, when Nari had fallen asleep in her mother's arms, Taeho asked Ji-hoon to walk with him. They went out to a small garden behind the house. The two suns had set long ago. The stars filled the sky like scattered diamonds. A cool wind moved through the old trees. Taeho moved slowly. His old legs hurt with every step. But he insisted on standing. He said he had sat long enough. There is more you need to know, Taeho said. More than just the story of your father. Ji-hoon waited quietly. Taeho looked up at the stars. After your father saved us, after he died, I swore an oath. I swore it in blood and fire. The way my ancestors swore oaths in ancient times. I promised that my clan would never forget what the humans did for us. I promised that we would repay this debt. An oath? Ji-hoon asked. What kind of oath? Taeho turned to face him. His old eye burned with something fierce. An oath of protection. For 50 years, my clan has been watching over the human colonies in this sector, quietly, secretly, without ever asking for thanks. Ji-hoon did not understand. Watching over? How? I have never seen dragon warships near human space. Taeho smiled sadly. That is because we do not want to be seen. We move in shadows. We act when no one is looking. When pirates attacked the colony on Mira 7, who do you think destroyed them before they could land? When the plague ships tried to reach the medical station on Horizon, who stopped them? When the human miners on Kelos were trapped by earthquakes, who dug them out? Ji-hoon felt a chill run down his back. That was your people? My people, my clan, and not just us. Taeho's voice grew heavier. After I swore my oath, I told other elders what the human engineer had done. I showed them the symbol. I told them how one dying man had saved thousands of dragon lives, because it was the right thing to do. Because he believed that all lives were worth saving. Taeho paused. His claw touched the metal disc around his neck. 12 clans heard my story. 12 clans swore the same oath. For 50 years, 12 dragon clans have been protecting humanity from the shadows. We have asked for nothing. We have expected nothing. We simply pay our debt. Ji-hoon was shaking. Not from cold. From emotion. From the weight of what he was hearing. Why? He managed to ask. Why keep it secret? Why not tell humans what you have done? Taeho was quiet for a long time. Then he spoke slowly, choosing each word carefully. Because that is not why we do it. We do not protect humans for praise. We do not protect humans for reward. We protect them because one human, one small, dying human, showed us what true goodness looks like. He did not save us because we were powerful. He did not save us because we could give him anything. He saved us because we needed help, because he could help, because that is who he was. The old dragon's voice cracked slightly. Your father taught us something, Ji-hoon. He taught us that strength is not about power. Strength is about choosing to help others, even when you have nothing to gain. Even when it costs you everything. That is the human way. That is what we have been trying to honor for 50 years. Ji-hoon wiped his eyes. The tears would not stop coming. I never knew, he whispered. All my life, I thought I was alone. I thought I was nothing. Just a man who fixed machines in a place where no one cared. Taeho placed both claws on Ji-hoon's shoulders. Despite his age, his grip was strong. You are never alone. You have never been alone. Your father's spirit has been watching over you. And through us, his legacy has been protecting your people. You carry his blood. You carry his symbol. You are part of something bigger than you can imagine. They stood together in the garden for a long time. The stars wheeled slowly overhead. The wind whispered through the old trees. Finally, Taeho spoke again. The oath is old now. Many of the original elders are dead. The young dragons do not remember. They have forgotten why we watch over humans. They see only small creatures with short lives. They do not understand the debt we owe. What will happen? Ji-hoon asked. Taeho looked at him with determination. That is why you are here. That is why fate brought you to this world, to this city, to my granddaughter. It is time for the oath to come out of the shadows. It is time for dragons and humans to stand together openly, and you, Ji-hoon, son of Sunho, will help make it happen. Ji-hoon did not know what to say. He did not feel like a hero. He did not feel special. He was just an engineer who fixed machines. But maybe that was exactly what was needed. Someone simple. Someone honest. Someone who carried the symbol and the blood of a man who had changed everything. I will try, Ji-hoon said softly. I do not know if I can do what you ask, but I will try. Taeho nodded. That is all your father did. He tried, and he changed the fate of two peoples. Perhaps you will do the same. The night grew deeper. The stars grew brighter. And somewhere in the vast darkness of space, the hidden alliance of dragons continued their silent watch, waiting for the moment when they would finally be revealed. The message was sent to every human colony in the sector. It was also sent to every dragon world, every trading station, every ship crossing the void between stars. It carried no threats. It carried no demands. It carried only truth. Ji-hoon stood beside Taeho in the great hall of Velen's capital. 12 elder dragons sat in a half-circle behind them. These were the leaders of the 12 clans. The ones who had kept the oath for 50 years. In front of them, a recording device captured everything. The message would be seen by billions. Taeho spoke first. His old voice was strong and clear. For 50 years, we have protected humanity from the shadows. We have asked for nothing. We have expected nothing. Today, we step into the light. Today, we tell the truth. The old dragon told the story of Sunho. He told the story of the Great Collapse. He told the story of one human engineer who gave everything to save a people that were not his own. Then Ji-hoon spoke. He was nervous. His voice shook at first. But as he spoke about his father, about the patch, about finding Nari in his workshop, his voice grew stronger. I am nobody special, Ji-hoon said. I am just an engineer. I fix machines. I live a simple life. But I carry my father's symbol. And through that symbol, I discovered something that changed everything I believed. He held up the patch for the cameras to see. Humans and dragons are not strangers. We are family. We have been family for 50 years, even if we did not know it. Blood was shed for blood. Lives were saved. Oaths were made. The bond between us is old and deep and real. Ji-hoon looked directly into the recording device. To every human watching this, know that you have never been alone. The dragons have been watching over you, protecting you, honoring a debt that one man created with his courage and his sacrifice. My father gave his life for them. They have spent 50 years repaying that gift. He paused. The hall was completely silent. To every dragon watching this, know that humanity remembers. We remember kindness. We remember honor. We remember those who stand beside us in our darkest moments. The alliance that was hidden can now be seen, and it will only grow stronger. The message ended. The recording was complete. Within hours, it was everywhere. Human colonies received the message with shock and disbelief. For decades, they had thought they were alone in dangerous space. Now they learned that dragon warships had been protecting them all along. That dragon warriors had died fighting threats that humans never even knew existed. Dragon worlds received the message with confusion and wonder. The young dragons had never known about the oath. They had grown up thinking of humans as small, weak creatures. Now they learned that their elders had sworn blood oaths to protect these small creatures. Now they learned why. The response was overwhelming. Human leaders sent messages of thanks. They asked for formal meetings. They offered trade agreements, alliance treaties, friendship. Dragon elders came out of hiding. 12 clans became 20, then 50, then 100. More and more dragons revealed that they too had been protecting humans, that they too had been touched by stories of human courage and sacrifice. Ji-hoon became a symbol. He did not want to be famous. He did not like the attention. But his face was now known across the galaxy. The human who carried the patch, the son of the engineer who changed everything. Nari loved it. She told everyone that she had found Ji-hoon first, that she had brought him to her grandfather, that she was the one who started the whole thing. Yuna smiled and let her daughter have her moment of pride. Months passed. Things changed quickly. Human ships now flew openly with dragon escorts. Dragon traders now walked freely in human markets. The old barriers of distrust began to crumble. It was not perfect. There were still those who hated. There were still those who refused to believe. Old prejudice does not die easily. But the shift had begun. The movement toward unity was real. One night, Ji-hoon stood on the roof of Taeho's house. He was looking up at the stars. The twin suns had set long ago. The sky was dark and infinite. Nari sat beside him. She had grown a little in the past months. Her copper scales were brighter now. Her golden eyes still shone with endless curiosity. "Are you happy, Ji-hoon?" she asked. Ji-hoon thought about the question. He thought about his small workshop. He thought about his lonely years. He thought about all the days when he felt invisible and forgotten. Then he thought about now, about being part of something bigger, about having a family again, about watching two peoples come together because of a symbol and a story and a choice made 50 years ago. "Yes," he said. "I am happy." Nari leaned against his arm. "Good, because you are staying with us forever." "Grandfather said so." Ji-hoon smiled. "Did he?" "Yes. He said you are family, and family stays together." They sat in silence, watching the stars. Somewhere out there, human and dragon ships were flying side by side. Somewhere out there, old enemies were becoming new friends. Somewhere out there, the galaxy was learning what Sun-ho had known all along, that kindness is the strongest force in the universe, that one act of courage can echo through generations, that the small and the weak can change the fate of empires. Ji-hoon touched the patch on his jacket. "Thank you, father," he whispered. "I finally understand." The wind carried his words into the night. The stars continued to shine, and across 1,000 worlds, humans and dragons looked up at the same sky and knew that they were no longer alone. The shift had begun, and nothing would ever be the same again.